Alright, so today we are unpacking S8P1, which is the study of the nature of matter. And pretty much when we unpack a standard, I like to introduce you to some of the vocabulary. I talk about the standard and what we're focusing on. And we try and do a couple activities just to get our minds focused. So I'm just going to briefly go over what we covered in class today. That way, if you were absent today, then you can still get the information. Of course, if you still have questions, you can see me when you do return to school. So let's go ahead. For S8P1, your job is to examine the nature of matter. And we're not going to look at the whole unit up front. We're going to start off, we break the unit up into two different pieces. So we're going to really start off with these first three components. Where your role is, or your job rather, is to describe the motion of particles in solids, liquids, gases, and plasma states. You'll need to be able to distinguish or tell the difference between physical and chemical properties. You'll also need to be able to distinguish between physical and chemical changes. Once we finished looking over the standard, everyone opened up their notebook to page 12, and we did something called a KQL. Now, you're probably more familiar with maybe a KNL or a KWL, but for science, I wanted to go ahead and try KQL. We have 2 rows, 3 columns, and you're going to want to make sure you use a ruler to make your tables nice and neat in your notebook on page 12. And our first column covers what we already know about matter. So go ahead and list a few things in this particular section on what you think you already know about matter. Okay? Then in the middle section, our goal right now is just to have at least one question. And I want you to tell me what questions do you have about matter. Now, let me preface that by saying that we all naturally have this desire to be curious. Think about all the things you got into as a child, or a younger child rather, and why you did those things. Of course, it was because you wanted to see what would happen. So we naturally are curious. We want to bring that curiosity into the classroom. So what questions do you have about matter? At least try to come up with one. Of course, we're going to share some more questions in class. And then that third column, we're just going to leave blank for now because we want to get into the material next week and maybe the week after, and then we'll revisit this QL and see if we have any more information to add. After spending some time with the KQL, we looked at some vocabulary to get started. So these are some of the words. I recommend that you pause the video at this time and take a moment just to look through these words and see which ones you know and which ones you know you'll really need to focus on. Then we wrapped up with an activity called Stuff Matters. And you will need to pick up a handout. If you were absent in school today, you'll need to pick up a handout. And pretty much I gave everybody a picture. And on your picture, you needed to circle and number 7 different types of matter within the image. Then I wanted you to color those 7 items. So you don't need to color the whole picture, just those items so that they stand out. And you really don't need several colors. Just choose one color and color them all the same color. That's fine. Then you want to go ahead and glue that image, trim it, and glue it into your notebook so that you have enough writing space. And then under that, for each item that you numbered, so find your picture number 1, and then below the picture, write the number 1, and then describe that type of matter using your 5 senses and other things that you may know about that type of material. So you'll do that for the 7 pictures. Okay, so if you do not, if you were in class today, you noticed that we did not finish page 13 in our notebook. We'll come back to that next week. So those of you that are out today, just make sure that you see me on Monday to get that material, and I'll go over that with you, and I'll give you the time that you need to get it done. But there is a little bit of homework for this weekend, and that's page 11. We want to make sure we go back to page 11 and we want to make a cover page. And pretty much this is going to be our cover to the new unit. And what you're going to want to do is find pictures, colored pictures, maybe magazine pictures, or you want to draw your pictures and add color to them of things that relate to the topic of matter. And of course, again, in class we gave several examples, and just think, you can do an internet search and get some ideas on how to make your cover page, but you want to have your cover page complete before you come into class on Monday. Also, just one reminder, if you did not turn in your pink lab forms, please make sure you get them turned in next week. And don't forget that QR code that was shared in class. You want to go ahead and do that interest survey. I will also send that information out over the weekend. Alright, so that pretty much covers what we did in class on Unpacking S8P1. Bye now.